If both sides want to keep permanent the middle class tax cuts, Republicans want to keep permanent the wealthy tax cuts. President doesn't want to do that. What does that mean? Maybe he would offer a temporary continuance for the upper class, for wealthy tax cuts.
I think that's right, Anderson. He'd offer a temporary, could maybe just go 2 years, take it 2 years at a time. What it really means is the president's up for re-election in 2012, and he just lost into 60% of independents, and he's got to get them back. He can get his base back a year and a half from now because he'll be running against a Republican that his base will really not like. But right now, he's got to show independence. He heard the message from the election that he's concentrating on growth and the economy and jobs. And right now, sending a message that, hey, I'm going to take $700 billion out of the economy, that's an anti-stimulus. That's not the message he wants to send.
Roland? Actually, Anderson, not necessarily true, because the reality is he has some fundamental issues with the base. What you're hearing people say is, where does this president have convictions? Where does he stand? And so we know exactly what took place this week. This was the Washington, D.C. two-step. So you have David Axelrod, who floats these comments. The fact that he told the Huffington Post that, he knew exactly what he was saying. And so you're hearing people say, wait a minute, can you guys even have one consistent message? There is no doubt that you have to have some level of compromise. But when the president has been so adamant, especially in the last 3 or 4 months on this whole issue, saying to Republicans, you say you want to control the deficit, this contributed to the deficit, so therefore, how is it not going to contribute in the future? And so his base has been saying, hey, toe the line, but don't give away the House right now before you even sit down and have negotiations.
Alex, do you concede that this contributes to the deficit, that $700 million that would not be coming as revenue for the government has to be made up somehow?
Well, I have a little bit of a problem with that, a couple of them. One is the middle class tax cuts contributes $3.2 billion $3.2 billion to the deficit, right? He's fine with that. The $700 billion, I'm sorry, 3.2 trillion. The $700 billion that the rich people, somehow that's what's causing the deficit, not the 3.2 for the middle class. Look, it all contributes to the deficit if we don't have the money. But that's not the problem. You spend the rent money at the bar, you blew it. You failed to go mug some rich people and take it from their pockets. Somehow it's their fault that you have a deficit. I don't think it really works that way.
How was the money spent at the bar? Which bar was this?
Congress, Washington blew the rent money. They spent a lot more than we can afford. And by the way, that's Republicans and Democrats over the past 10 years. They're the ones who've created this deficit. It's not the American people's fault that they haven't paid enough taxes when Washington blew the rent money.
It is not the American taxpayers' fault. Alex is absolutely right. But the reality is, I didn't hear Alex or any other Republicans or even some of those Democrats who voted for the Bush tax cut. No, 1 second. No, Alex. What I'm saying is, when the Bush tax cuts were even first passed, that contributed to the deficit. But again, though, going back to the issue where we have here, Anderson, it really boils down to this, and that is, you have some Democrats who are saying, look, don't extend any of the tax cuts because, as Alex said, it all contributes to the deficit. But still, the question is, will you see a level of compromise? Republicans are saying there will be no compromise, and so we want the president to walk it back to us. And so Democrats are saying, hey, Mr. President, don't just simply give away the House. And so there might be some showdown here. I think you will likely see a short-term extension, not 5, 10 years, maybe 1 or 2 to get past the 2012 election.
Probably
politics will play a role in this compromise.
Anderson, remember how we were talking about the stimulus and the president saying, look, every dollar that we spend in stimulus has a multiplier effect, $3, $5, because it'll help grow the economy. But somehow this $700 billion tax cut for our best economic hitters, the people with the highest economic batting averages, if we leave that money in the economy, that doesn't seem to have a multiplier effect. Why is that? Actually, these are our most productive economic producers.
I tell you, actually, the most productive people are the ones who are on the bottom, who are working their butts off to make sure the people up top look good. I'll tell you what, Anderson, all those same Republicans who criticize the stimulus, no, 1 second, they sure were asking for those same stimulus dollars, so I guess it did multiply, Alex, because the letters are there to prove it when they were all asking for it.
But you both think there's basically going to be some kind of compromise. Alex, do you think the Republicans are willing to compromise?
I think the Republicans have indicated right now that they're willing to look at anything as long as we can get this economy going again.
Right.
They're going to try to get as absolutely much as they can, leave as much, not just for political reasons, because it's a stimulus, leaving money in productive people's pockets. Look, what do we know about the rich? They want to get richer. How do they do that? They invest in things that grow. When things grow, it creates jobs. That's why Republicans want to leave money in everybody's pockets.
I'll tell you, Anderson, first of all, a nice little non-answer there. I think the Republicans will push the president and say, we want to extend all tax cuts. I do not believe they're going to come to the table with a compromise. They will force the president to compromise, not them.